Good evening, everyone. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. Okay. Good evening to all the students and everyone present here. I would like to start with a quote. To walk safely through the maze of life, one needs the light of wisdom and the correct guidance. And to be true and fair to this statement, today we have been graced with the presence of one such guide who will lead all of us, especially you students, into the correct direction and help you make an informed choice in your future with respect to your career. I would like to welcome our speaker for the session, Professor Geeta Bhatia ma'am. Hello ma'am. A very warm welcome from all of us for this session. I would like to introduce ma'am. Geeta ma'am has completed her post-graduation from the Faculty of Commerce. She has also completed her bachelor's in education. She has completed her master's of philosophy and she has been a rank holder in her B.Ed and MPhil course. She has qualified the NET exam and is currently pursuing her doctoral studies from the University of Mumbai. Geeta ma'am is the MCom in charge at Shri M.D. Shah Mela College, Malad. She is a visiting faculty in the PG department at Rizvi College, Bandra. She is the mentor and the coordinator at Ascendance Academy, and she has a great teaching experience of about 10 years. She has also been invited as a resource person and has conducted various workshops and crash courses in association with colleges across India to guide and prepare NETSET aspirants. And to name a few of the institutions that she has conducted workshops for, our very own Cosmopolitan's Valia College, Andheri, St. Andrews, Bandra, Shri M.D. Shah Malad, and Akeem MBA Institute, Bellary, Karnataka. Ma'am, it is such a pleasure to have you here for all of us. And I'm so fortunate enough that our students are getting an opportunity to get this guidance session from you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll begin. Thank you everyone for being here and giving your valuable time for this webinar which has been conducted especially for Valia College students and also other college students. So myself, Geeta Bhatia, I'll be beginning with, today this webinar is conducted on the career opportunities after your post-graduation. Now, I would be speaking mainly about your career opportunities in the field of education. Of course, apart from education, there are various fields where you can enter and have your career in future. So here we will be specifically focusing on to the students who are really, interested in going in the education sector. See, when we talk about education sector, that does not mean that every time you have to be a teacher, because sabhi ko teacher banna pasand nahi hai, right? But it is always good to have a backup. Like, what if in future, if you're not able to work in a corporate for any reasons, maybe you're not able to balance the time, whether your family is not allowing, so that second case is not there. But this is always for the safer side. I always believe, and I tell my students that don't stick to only one career opportunity in your life. Always have the backup. Like, for some reasons, if you're not able to continue your office work, what if then we are going to do? So this teaching is something which is a noble job and a noble cause. For the noble cause we are doing. So today we will be talking about how can you become a teacher. Here, when I say teacher, I will be just briefing you about certain things before I talk about the NETSET exam. Now, to continue with, first of all, I will welcome you all for this NTA UGC NETSET JRF exam preparation workshop. And here specifically, I will be talking about paper 1, which is common for all the subject codes. And to begin with, let me be very clear with you. Like, there are a few words which we talk about. One is like teacher, okay. One is lecturer, okay. Other one is your professor. After professor also we have associate, assistant professor, and so on. So if someone tells me, that I'm a teacher, ये teacher है, मैं clearly बोलती हूँ, तभी I will just stop the people that I'm not a teacher, I'm a professor. So there is a difference. Of course, the job of everybody is same here as a teacher, but teacher is mainly, you need a different qualification if you want to become a teacher. It's all about the difference in the qualification and the standard or the class to which you are teaching. So I hope you all know that there is something called as DEd, there is something called as BEd. Okay, so there is a difference. I hope you all know. Being a PG student, you should know that there is a difference between the one who does the DEd course, the one who does the BEd course, okay, and those who pursue their PhD and qualify this NET-SET exam. So if you qualify, so now this DEd course is after your HSC. Okay, so once you clear this particular course, or once you achieve the degree of this course called as DEd, you are eligible to become the teacher in the primary school. That is up to 5th standard you can teach to the students. Now when I talk about BEd, so after you complete your BEd degree, you can, or a BEd course, you can teach to the students up to your 12th standard. Okay, starting from 6th standard to 12th standard. That is the degree which is required for a person to be a lecturer. So when I say lecturer, it is mainly the person who teaches to 11th and 12th standard. Okay, and professor is all the people, those who are, teaching in the undergraduate courses as well as in the postgraduate courses. So this is the basic idea which you need to know, and you are eligible for all those courses. But now if you are going back to DEd, that is like, going back to the low down level. Now here, after your post graduation, you can always do your BEd, which is a course which is compulsory for a person to do if he wants to enter into a teaching field up to HSC. Okay, and if you want to teach in undergraduate courses, one basic requirement is qualifying NTA, that is UGC NTA NET exam. Now, what is the full form of this NET exam? We need to know that is the National Eligibility Test. Now, this National Eligibility Test is nothing, it is not a course, it is not a degree, it is simply an exam which you need to qualify. So this is simply an exam. It is not a course. You don't get a degree, you just get a certificate that you have qualified this exam. Now this exam is conducted by NTA, that's a national testing agency, which is the nodal agency for conducting various India level exams in India. Now to appear for this exam, the eligibility is either you have to be a postgraduate or you need to have an MBA degree. That means only after your post graduation you can fill the form for this exam. Now when I say post graduation, means suppose if you have already, the criteria is that your first year need to be completed. Okay, this has to be completed. Once this is complete, once you come in your semester 3, you can fill the form. Okay, so that is the eligibility to fulfill the form for this exam. And another second eligibility is that you need to score minimum 15% or 55% to appear for this exam. If your score, aggregate score, is less than 55, you are not eligible to fill the form. So this is the basic thing I want to tell you. Another thing, this exam is conducted twice in a year, but due to corona, this exam is conducted or held once in a year because of corona. Otherwise, it was always June and December were the 2 attempts where the students can appear for the exam. Now, this exam is objective, completely objective. Earlier, very long back, this exam used to be subjective in nature, subjective and objective, but now it is completely objective, that is all MCQ based, and this is online. Online means you cannot sit at your home and appear for exam. There are various centers across India, and you will have to go to those centers and appear for the exam. So this paper comprises of 2 papers. This NTA exam is of 2 papers. One is paper 1 and the other one is the paper 2. Now in India, paper 2 is conducted in 81 subjects. Now this year in 81 subjects all over India, the exam was held. Now the paper one is general for all the 81 subjects. Now when I say subjects means, like suppose if as you see that here now we are having MCom students, MA students, we have got MCA students, MSCIT students. So your paper 2 specialization is your master specialization subject. Like if you have done your MCom, whether you are doing MCom in accountancy, you are doing MCom in marketing management, still you are going to fill the form for UGC Net in commerce. Okay, so your specialization subject is depending on your master's degree. Suppose if you are doing MA in economics, so your master's specialization would be economics. So your UGC Net appearance also will be in economics. Now, one more thing I want to clear here, because I get every day I got calls from the aspirants, So some people have like, I have, suppose I am in MCom, but I have interest in teaching Hindi. So can I appear UGC Net in Hindi? Of course, you can appear. Appear करने में कोई problem नहीं है. But when you will go for the job, you won't be the right candidate to teach Hindi as your subject. आपको पसंद है पर आपने उसमें एग्जाम दिया, that is not the right thing. You have to always first qualify your exam in your master specialization. Okay, and उसके बाद आपको जिस सब्जेक्ट में भी देना है, you can give, but first you have to give it in your master specialization. So one thing is clear, that paper one is general. When I say here general means, it is not a current affair paper. It is a paper which is common for all the subjects. Okay, it is common, like paper one to sabka same hi rahega. Same means the syllabus will remain the same, and paper 2 syllabus will be different for all the different subjects. That is one thing we need to know. Then apart from that, we need to understand that the marking scheme of this paper is that paper 1 is of 50 questions. Each question carries 2 marks, whether it is paper 1 or is it paper 2. There is no negative marking so far. Okay, we are very blessed. So far there is no negative marking, but in future you never know, there can be a negative marking, but so far it is not there. And in paper 1, the paper is of 100 marks, that is 50 questions, each question 2 marks. And in paper 2, your questions will be 100 and 2 marks each, that is your total paper is of 300 marks. Okay, now you will say that what is the minimum percentage? Like if we go for these college level exams, so out of 100, 40 is passing, 35 is passing, but here there is nothing like that. Here it is your percentage or your exam, qualifying your exam is depending on the cutoff. Now this cutoff varies, that means it changes every attempt. Now this cutoff is based on the number of students appear for this exam and the student who is scoring the highest mark out of all the students. So there is a particular statistical formula which is applied to understand the cutoff for every attempt. Now here, when you are appearing for this exam, your cutoff, minimum cutoff, what is been seen as a trend, like minimum you have to keep a target of 55, minimum 55, and maximum it can go as much as you can. But always when you are appearing for exam, you have to keep a target ki kam se kam meko 60% to lana hi hai, otherwise you cannot qualify this exam. Okay, if you keep a target of 60, then only you can come between 55 to 60. Now apart from that, there is a concept called NET and another one is called as JRF. Abhi main bolti hu ki main net qualified hu, and let's say another student says I am JRF qualified. Now what is the difference between net qualified and JRF qualified? We need to understand. Now net is simply NET, but JRF is what? Junior Research Fellowship. Now suppose, let's say for example, the highest percentage is 65%. Like the one student out of all the, let's say for example 100 students appear for net exam in India. Out of these 100 students, the one student is scoring 65 as a percentage. Okay, now 65 is the highest percentage which is scored by the first student, and the total so far I'm just hypothetically telling you, so far what has been observed that out of 100 students, it is the percentage of the result which comes. जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि CA में only 2% of students qualify out of the total number. Here in net exam, it has been observed that out of total 100%, 6 or 8% only students qualify the exam. Now in this also, जो ऊपर के 2% के students होंगे, okay, they will be considered in the category of junior research fellowship, and something which is below 63, let's say example, these students will be considered in the category of the net exam. Now when you qualify your exam in 65%, that is in your 2% of the topmost 2%, so you will be considered as JRF. Here you will be eligible to enroll yourself as a research scholar in any of the universities, and you will be getting a stipend from the university, which is approved by UGC. So now this stipend is nothing but a kind of a fixed amount which is given to a research scholar for conducting a research. उसके लिए भी अलग अलग criteria है, age की criteria है, that you cannot work when you are doing PhD under JRF, and you are only full time you are doing your research, and you are getting stipend. That stipend is given for minimum 2 years, and maximum it can be 3 years also. So 33 to 35,000 is given to the students who qualify exam in the JRF category. Okay, so this is the basic idea I'm giving you. And another one more important thing we need to know, that there is no limit on the number of attempts by one person. Like मैं उस exam को अगर मैं clear भी हो गई हूँ ना, तो भी मैं वो exam दे सकती हूँ. It's not like I qualified and then I'm not eligible. I can give as many times as I want. So there is no limit on the number of attempts by one person to appear for this exam. Okay. Now, so far, am I clear with all the students, those who are present over here? See, whether I'm not saying that whether you are interested in teaching or not, but it is going to be a great idea that it is always advisable. As I told you, you should always have the backup, and teaching is always the best job. Like though you may not be a government job, but you can enjoy all the facilities which are given to the government employees. उसमें से भी पहला जो facility मैं ये बताऊंगी कि सबसे important है holidays. जो भी गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज को जो भी बैंक हॉलीडेज होती हैं वो सारे एम्प्लॉइज हॉलीडेज टीचर्स को मिलती हैं. देन हम लोगों को समर वेकेशन मिलती है, सो दिवाली वेकेशन, विंटर वेकेशन. सो दीज पर्क्स आर नॉट पॉसिबल इन द फील्ड ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस. सो एवरी जॉब, वेदर यू आर इन कॉर्पोरेट, वेदर यू आर इन टीचिंग, प्रोज एंड कॉन्स, एडवांटेजेस, लिमिटेशंस तो सभी के होते हैं, बट इट इज ऑलवेज गुड फील्ड. लाइक टीचिंग इज लाइक nobody will say never no for this field, right? So you don't have to convince your parents much, or you don't have to convince your family much for, because still I am working with college which is affiliated to Women's University. So still today I find, because we have I am teaching in MCom, so in MCom in semester 4 we have got internship as compulsory. Okay, so still there are families, those who are not allowing their girl child to go for a job or internship. So those students, they tell me कि मैम आप मेरे पापा को समझाओ, मेरी मम्मी को समझाओ कि ये कंपलसरी है. So पढ़ाने के लिए पेरेंट्स पढ़ा लेते हैं, but still there is some part of world is still thinking backward कि girls cannot go for job and all that. But teaching is something which nobody will say no to you. So have a backup, try to understand, try to create interest what I am trying to explain you. And if you have any questions in between, you can put it in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer you. Now I will be talking about only paper 1 here today. Okay, and paper 2, if at all you would be interested further, college can always conduct another webinar for paper 2. I specialize in commerce and management, so I can deal with those 2 papers. Now paper 1, 10 units. Now to begin with, I would just like to tell you that what are the names of those 10 units. You may not remember, आज का जी याद तो नहीं हो जाएगा, but at least have an idea. So unit 1 is teaching aptitude, unit 2 is research aptitude, 3 is comprehension, 4 is communication, 5th is mathematical reasoning and aptitude, 6th is logical reasoning, 7th is data interpretation, then is your information and communication technology, people development and environment, and the last one is higher education system. Before I go into detail of these units, I would just like to brief you कि ये सारे units में क्या क्या होता है. Now whenever we study any subject, now that subject is either based on a theory or it is based on practical aspects. Okay, so jinko theory pasand hai, they will be more strong in theory part, and those who are strong in practical, their practical would be strong. So this exam is divided in that manner only. So here unit 1, these all theory, these are all 4 theory units. Teaching aptitude, like those who have done their B.Ed course, like see, we are MCom students, MA students, उनको ये subject नहीं आता होगा because ये हमने कभी पढ़ा नहीं है. But those who have done their B.Ed course, okay, they must be having a thorough knowledge of this subject because this is the subject which is being taught in B.Ed, right? And this is again, aptitude means what? It is like they want to test that whether this particular person who has applied for a teaching job, whether that person is having that aptitude. Aptitude means what? Having the potential to be a teacher or not. So isme na, they mainly ask you very basic questions on based on the situations. Like if suppose there is a student who is mischievous in your class, I'm just telling you, it may not be that very easy, but the situational questions are given more. That if the student is very mischievous in your class, so as your teacher, how are you going to treat that child? Whether you are going to, punish, make him sit at the last bench, call his parents, take him to the principal's office. So there will be options given because as I told you, it's an objective paper. There will be one question, 4 options would be given, A, B, C, D, and you have to select. So that way, this subject is very simple. You have to study, but it's not that simple, but you have to study because a prescribed syllabus is given. And Unit 2 is your research aptitude, and I'm sure whether you are MSIT, MSCIT students or your MCOM or any MA students also, everybody studies research as a subject in their semester 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? So research aptitude, whatever research methodology bolo, research aptitude bolo, one and the same subject, the names are only different, but research is a subject which you have already studied somewhere, मतलब mainly in your semester 2. तो ये knowledge आपके पास होगा. You will be having some basic knowledge, but यहाँ पे in this exam you have to go little bit into detail, but you have the basic idea. Okay, so this what I mean to say is कि इन 4 subjects में से ये आपने कभी पढ़ा नहीं होगा, but ये आपने पढ़ा है, right? Then unit number 3 is your comprehension. Now this comprehension is nothing but it is a kind of an unseen passage. जो ये हमको किसी ने कभी पढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. ये स्कूल में this all we have studied. We have all seen that how to solve the seen passage, how to solve unseen passage. But here unseen passage is like कॉलेज स्कूल लेवल पे हमारे पैसेजेस कैसे होते थे, लाइक पैराग्राफ दी होती थी एंड सपोज देयर वर 5 क्वेश्चंस, तो हमको ये पता होता था फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन का आंसर फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में होगा, सेकंड क्वेश्चन का सेकंड पैराग्राफ में होगा. मोस्टली ऐसे होते थे बिकॉज स्कूल लेवल के पैसेजेस थे. बट now in this net exam the passage will be given, but it won't be that easy at how we used to solve in the school level. But you have an idea ki this is the passage, you have to read the passage, you have to read the question, and you have to find the answer from that passage itself. Okay, so this is again very easy, so you don't have to study for this. मतलब ये unit तो हमको पढ़ना ही नहीं है, but you have to do lot of practice of reading and practice of solving the passages. Okay, then unit 4 is your communication, which you have already studied. Whether you are in a BA, BCom course or any, आपने first year में आपका BC subject होता था, that is your business communication. So you have an idea that what is communication, what are the types of communication. That means you have the idea of this subject. But in net exam, you have to go into little bit detail. Okay, so these were the 4 units. Now moving on to the next unit. Now these all 3 units are the practical units. Okay, they are practical units. That means everything is related to your logic, everything is related to mathematics, reasoning. Okay, now those who are good at mathematics, now it is not like suppose I am not good at mathematics, that does not mean that I cannot solve the questions based on this topic. Here whatever we have in this topic, especially in the chapter number 5, that is unit 5, whatever mathematics we have studied at the school level, okay, those topics are included here, but of course they are more into detail. The questions may not be that easy, and at times it may not be that difficult also. So this you have an idea. Like although those who have might prepared for MBA or any kind of exams, entrance exam, any aptitude test, so those students will be, you know, knowing these topics in detail. So we have some idea of this. Okay, then logical reasoning, इसका कोई आइडिया नहीं होगा आपके पास, because nowadays the syllabus of this logical reasoning is very much into detail. We are going to see the detail of the syllabus also. So this logical reasoning, you, me, never studied in school, we never studied at the college level also. So this is the subject where we have to put in 100% to learn something new while preparing for net exam. Then unit number 7 is your data interpretation. This we all have done in your school also. Okay, maybe in your mathematics 11 12th mathematics was statistical part mostly, but data interpretation you have seen, you have already, you know, have the knowledge of this idea. Now data interpretation means you will be given a table, and based on that table questions will be given. We will see what are, I will show you the question paper also, so that you will get an idea, and you will not be having any fear of appearing this exam. That's my whole idea, to remove that fear. Because जब भी हम ऐसे कोई भी competitive exams की बात करते हैं, whenever we talk about any exam at India level, world level, international level, तो हमको ये डर रहता है कि whether I'll be able to, you know, appear nicely or not, I'll be able to crack this exam or not. But let me honestly tell you, it's very easy to crack this exam only if you study well. Because without studying, if you go for any exam, you're not going to pass, right? Then moving on to next unit is your 8th unit. Now this is purely a computer based questions on this topic, information and communication technology. Although whatever we have studied at school level and whatever knowledge we are gaining in this digital world, that all topics are covered under ICT. Like जो भी हम स्कूल में पढ़ते थे, what is computer, what are types of memories, what are the types of storages, RAM, ROM, all this is covered here. Hardware of the computer, software of the computer, email, internet. So all those topics are here. So again, this also you all know, whether it is you, me, BA, BAF, MCOM, any student, everybody has the knowledge. That means some basic idea तो है, हम blank नहीं है. Then comes to your unit number 9. This also we are not blank. हम लोग ने, this is the combination, this is a subject which is a combination of, like, you know, EVS, what we have studied in our first year, whether it is BA, BCom. We have the idea of our subject which is called as geography. So we have studied something of this subject. Of course, there is an additional or in-depth study, but some idea we do have of this subject. Then comes to your last one is your higher education system. I'll be very honest again, from this unit also, as a student, मैंने भी कभी नहीं पढ़ा था, आपने भी कभी नहीं पढ़ा है. थोड़ा बहुत idea होगा, but not more than 5%. So 95% we are blank for this topic. So again, we have to study on this topic in detail. So अगर आप 10 units को देखेंगे, तो 10 units में से there is like unit number 10 which you don't know, I don't know as a student. Okay. Then logical reasoning also we don't know. So if you see, out of 10 units, only 3 are the units which we don't know at all, but rest 7 units we are aware. मतलब हमको कुछ तो आता है, right? So now here, moving further, one thing I want to tell you, that you have to be very clear that we have to target all the 10 units. मतलब 10 में से मैंने क्या बोला कि 3 units आपको नहीं आते. So इसका मतलब ये नहीं है that you are only going to focus on only 7 units. No, we have to keep a target on all the 10 units, because questions are compulsory asked from all the 10 units, right? And as per UGC, अगर आप syllabus copy देखेंगे, in the syllabus copy they have mentioned that out of all the 10 units, 5 questions will be asked compulsory from each unit. कि हर units में से हम 5 question ही पूछेंगे. But you know, honestly, this pattern is not being followed. What is being followed, as I told you, that comprehension is something from where 5 questions are compulsory asked. That means your 10 marks paper is based on your comprehension, because 5 questions, 2 marks each, 10 marks. Compulsory data interpretation में से भी 5 questions पूछे जाते हैं. So again, there is a score of 10 marks. That means 20 marks आपको पता है कि from where the questions are going to come. So it is our moral duty to practice comprehension, okay, and it is our moral duty to understand about the data interpretation. क्योंकि अगर हमको पता है इसमें से questions आता है and this is scoring, like you have to keep a target that okay 20 marks का अगर DI and it is called DI and reading comprehension आ रहा है, so we have to keep a target कि out of 20, if I am not saying कि मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ you score 20 में से 20, I am not saying that, but at least keep a target में कि मैं कम से कम 16, कम से कम 14 मार्क्स तो मैं इसमें से स्कोर करूं, राइट, कि डीआई में अगर 5 क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हैं, सो आउट ऑफ 5 एज अ टीचर आई एम टेलिंग यू, एज अ trainer I will tell you that out of 5, 4 questions would be easy, one might be difficult which may take time, which you may do not know how to solve, even I may also not know. I am not saying that if I'm a professor I know 100%, no, it's not possible, right? So here we have to keep a target कि 5 में से कम मेरे 3 या 4 तो right ही जाने चाहिए, because 3-4 questions are very basic and they are like repeated nature के होते. We will see what kind of questions are being asked. Then remaining 40 questions which are asked, those questions are in a random pattern from all the units. Now they will ask you from all the units, means again the each unit, that is out of 8 units, minimum 4 to 5 questions will be asked from each unit, and maximum it can be 6 to 7 questions from each unit, because it depends upon the examiner who is setting up your paper. ओके, सो नॉट नेसेसरी कि एक यूनिट में से 4-5 होगा, कभी 3-4 भी हो सकता है. समटाइम्स दे मे गिव मोर वेटेज टू वन यूनिट एंड लेस वेटेज टू another unit. Okay, so we have to be prepared. So that's what I'm saying, that you have to keep a target of all the 10 units. Okay, it's not कि मेरा मैथ्स फेवरेट है तो सिर्फ मैं मैथ्स को ही ध्यान दूंगी, not possible. You cannot do that. Yeah. I have got some messages, students saying that yes, I'm interested in teaching. Ma'am, there is any specific book to prepare? Yes, I would be briefing you about everything in detail. And at the end also, there will be discussion on the books also which are available in the market, right? So I'm just giving you first the brief of the syllabus and the topics which are there to study and prepare for this exam. Now, moving further, I hope so far people are and students are understanding here what I'm trying to say, right? Now, if I ask any student that as a student, right? Tomorrow, say if you have your exam and I ask you, or today morning you have your exam and I ask you that are you ready for your exam? As a student, most of the students 99 times they will say that I am not ready for exam. मैंने पढ़ाई नहीं, मुझे टाइम ही नहीं मिला, नींद आ गई, तबीयत खराब थी. So that kind of excuse we can give only for our college level or university level exam. But for this competitive exam, you cannot say that I am not ready for the exam. Of course, for every student, as a student, you need to be ready before in hand. So you need to manage your time. You need to have a dream that yes, I want to qualify this exam. क्योंकि ये एग्जाम अभी सीए बनना एक ड्रीम होता है, वैसे ही यूजीसी नेट क्वालिफाई करना एक ड्रीम होता है. You can't say my dream is being a postgraduate. So nowadays being a postgraduate is a very basic qualification. So dream means something which is been, you have to achieve in your life. You have to set a goal. ऐसा नहीं कि हाँ मुझे सीए करना है, मुझे एलएलबी करना है, मुझे नेट एग्जाम क्वालिफाई करना है. Goal set करना है that in a year, like today in this year, mostly either if you are in a semester 4 currently, your target should be that by the year end of 2022 you have to qualify this net exam. So you have to set a goal that within what time frame I have to complete my exam. You cannot keep on dragging. At least 1 year of life you will have to give, at least 6 months minimum, or maximum it can be 1.5 depending on your preparation. Then you have to put it into action that yes, if I have a dream, I have a goal to complete in my life. So you have to put an action. खाली बोलने से कभी नहीं होगा. You have to put an action and you have to prepare for this exam. You have to manage your time. You have to study well, because there is no escapism. मैं आपको कोई भी college can help you in conducting such webinars and helping you to get the guidance. I can help you only to get into detail of this subject. बट स्टडी जो है आपके बदले कोई और नहीं कर सकता. दिस इज वेरी बेसिक, बट स्टिल आई एम टेलिंग यू रिपीटेडली, you have to study. Without study you cannot prepare for this exam or appear for this exam. And another important thing is stop wasting your time, because nowadays it is being seen, not only you, not only me, but as a, see, we are now, I'm not saying that we have reached to a higher level in our life, of course, but still we are more committed. As a student I may not be that committed, but when I'm teaching to my students, when I have my career, when I have my job, I would be more committed. So you have to stop wasting your time on things which are not going to give you any results. You have to invest your time rather than wasting your time. Okay, so that's the brief thing I want to tell you. Now, moving on further to this UGC NetSet JRF paper 1 syllabus, I would be talking into detail of each unit. Okay. Now, if you see my slides, you will be saying here, ye to syllabus hai, which you can, easily see on the websites of UGC Net, or even maybe on the other websites also. Everywhere you will see the syllabus, and this is syllabus as it is I have mentioned. But going into detail that what exactly I have to study, that is more important, right? Now, whenever we study anything, the first important thing is to know the syllabus of whatever you are going to study. Because अगर आपके पास एक बार syllabus की idea clear हो गई, then you can prepare yourself very well. Now, teaching aptitude, here the very beginning is that you need to know what are the basic terms in teaching. Like you need to know what is teaching, what is learning, what is training, what is instruction. So इनकी meaning पता होनी चाहिए, इनके differences क्या है, like how teaching and learning are different from each other. When I say training, when I say instruction, as a layman we feel that both the terms are same, but actually they are not same. We need to know the minute differences, because the questions which are asked in exam, they are mainly on the understanding of how much do you know about that topic. How can you identify that both the terms and the concepts are different from each other? Then there is characteristics of teaching, philosophies in education. Now this is again philosophy. Now what is philosophy? That means there are some thinkers who have thought on some concept and they have put on their thinking. So philosophy is mainly all about thinking only. Like what do you think about a particular term, about a concept, about a phenomena, okay, about an idea. So those philosophies you have to study, like pragmatism is there, constructivism. ये शायद words आपने पढ़े भी नहीं होंगे. Unless and until you don't go into detail, you may not be knowing this. Humanism, constructivism, pragmatism, idealism, okay, existentialism. So all these are the philosophies which we need to know, understand, and remember them as it is. Okay. Then forms of education. We know the different forms would be formal education, informal education, semi-formal. So these are different forms of education. So we need to know कि forms में कौन से types होते हैं and what are the characteristics of each type of education. They surely ask you in exam. Then there are objectives of teaching. Now, let me tell you one thing, that whenever anything is taught in the class, whether it is primary school or whether it is your college level or it is your upper primary, higher secondary, or any kind of school or any college, whenever any topic is taught by the teacher, now teacher has got some objective to achieve. Now there is a Bloom's taxonomy which is based on the objectives of teaching. There is something called as CAP. Now CAP is nothing but cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. Now whenever anything is taught in the classroom, okay, or outside the classroom, right, we have an objective to attain the domains. Now the three domains are CAP: cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Let's say example, if the teacher is teaching mathematics, so teacher wants to develop the mental ability or the intellectual aspect of the student. She wants to develop in that student. So that is cognitive ability. So she is going to plan her lesson, she is going to plan her content accordingly, so that with the help of that content and with the help of her lecture or any delivery, whichever she is doing, whether she is taking up a case study, she is giving you the exercise, she is taking up any experiment. So she wants you to achieve your cognitive domain. Then is your affective domain. Let's say your teacher is teaching you a poem or maybe a story, she is telling you. So she is trying to touch or achieve the affective domain. That means you should develop some kind of emotion, some kind of feelings. So your cognitive is related to your mind, affective is related to your heart, and psychomotor is related to your body. Now here, suppose if the teacher is, training you for any sports, so teacher is trying to achieve psychomotor domain. So that way there are various domains, and every domain has got other various objectives. Okay, those objectives are in the hierarchy which we need to study. Remember that hierarchy, and the meaning of each hierarchy, I mean each objective, should be clear in your mind. I'm just giving you the brief idea. Okay, then comes to your levels of teaching. Now the level of teaching means the teacher who was teaching us in the primary school, her level of teaching was known as memory level, because at that point of time teacher doesn't want us to understand the poem. टीचर यही चाहती थी कि बस मैं इस पोयम को याद करूं, एबीसीडी का और ऑर्डर याद करूं, जैक एंड जिल की पोयम याद करूं. टीचर का मकसद बिल्कुल ये नहीं था कि मैं पोयम की मीनिंग पढूं. So her, that time, her level of teaching was memory level, where she only wants that the student should remember the concept, idea, poem, story, or whatever. So she wants to develop your memory level. So after memory is your understanding. Okay, so understanding means as and when you go in higher classes, she will try to teach you in such a manner with the explanation. That time she can't say कि अभी आप इतना ही पढ़ के रखो. She wants you to understand and then learn the things. And the last one is your reflective level. Okay, where teacher will give you a, suppose teacher is giving you the case study. So every student is not going to have the same answer for the case study, because teacher wants to develop that reflective thinking in the student. कि हर एक की सोच अपनी अपनी है, that thinking has to be developed. So that way there is a topic called levels of teaching. Under levels of teaching we have got 3 levels: memory, understanding, reflective, and so on. Then there are teacher teaching models. Models means offline, online. There are different methods which the teacher uses in the class. Then there are maxims of teaching, that is principles of, and also principles of teaching. Now principles means it is not the defined set of rules, it is a kind of rules only which the teacher has to follow. So you have to go into detail, but I am giving you the gist of the topics which you have to go through. Then there are different methods of teaching, that is teacher centered. Teacher centered means where the teacher plays an important role. Learner centered means where the learner plays an important role. Send offline, online, or maybe a blended learning. So you need to know in detail about these topics. When you read from the books, you will find it very easy, very simple to understand, but आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा. Okay, then comes to your ICT based learning. There are various initiatives which are being taken by the government of India, that is our MHRD. Okay, and UGC. These are the two main bodies which look after the education system in India. Okay, first is the MHRD, then comes to your UGC and so on, then university, colleges, and so on. So there are various initiatives which are taken at India level, and these initiatives are only possible because of the ICT, because the whole world can come together because of the internet. So MOOC, Swayam Prabha, I cannot go into detail, because when we teach in the crash courses or any other, I mean, whatever lectures we take in our Ascendance Academy, we teach into detail. But here I am giving you just the brief idea that you have to study all these aspects. And this topic is like pure ratta maru topic. Agar government ne koi scheme, koi facility, koi initiative liya hai, so you have to remember it as it is. You cannot add on your point, because hota hai na, many a times when we study, some things are like you can read, understand, write it in your own words. But these kind of topics are not own words topic. These are like Swayam ka full form kya hai? वो तो same ही होगा. You can't change it. Swayam ka full form. Then what are the objectives of the Swayam? When was Swayam launched? What are the objectives, aims of the Swayam? So that will remain same. So this topic is pure cramming topic after understanding. Then what are the learner's characteristics and the teacher's characteristics? Like your no two teachers can be same in teaching, and no two students can be same in learning, right? Every individual person is different from one another. So what are those differences and why are those differences? That is individual differences we need to know. There are different types of learners. किसी को सुन के learn होता है, किसी को पढ़ के learn होता है, किसी को देख के learn होता है. So what are those types of learners we need to know? And why there is a difference in learning and teaching of the student and the teacher. Ki today I'm like suppose teaching in the class. So after my teaching, a student may score out of 100, he or she may score 90 marks in finance. But the same teacher is teaching to some student and that student is scoring 30 or 40 marks. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि टीचर ने खराब पढ़ाया. Okay, so it is not like that. So there are factors which affect the teacher's teaching. There are factors which affect the learner's learning. So those factors we need to know in detail. Okay, then there is classroom environment and teacher's action. This is again a application based question. That means a situation would be given and the question would be given on that. Then evaluation on it and its types. Very, very important topic. 100% there will be question on this. Mainly evaluation means in a layman's language, it is a kind of exam. It's a kind of exam. Now in college we have got exam called internal exam, external exam. हमको इतना ही पता है. But अगर हम internal और external की मैं बात करती हूँ, there is something called as formative. Okay, and there is something called as summative. There is something called as diagnostic. Now in your layman language, formative is like your internal exam and your summative is like your semester exam, which is known as in your language it is external exam, and diagnostic is like your remedial. Remedial means where the teacher tries to understand that what are the problems which are faced by the student in teaching and learning, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of the student which they face in learning any concept. So this is again very detailed topic which we need to know. Formative, summative, diagnostic, placement is also there. Okay, so very important topic, and that was the syllabus for teaching aptitude. Now moving on further, we have got research aptitude as a subject. In your semester 2 of your post graduation, you might be having your research methodology. That research methodology is nothing but research aptitude. Now here also we need to know that what are the characteristics of research, what are the objectives of doing any research, what are the approaches, okay, what are the different ways in you conduct the research, what are the steps of research. Very, very important question. 100% there is a question from this topic. Now there is something called types of research. We have got applied research, basic research, we have got quantitative, qualitative, descriptive, exploratory, just to name a few. So we have to go into detail कि वो type का नाम क्या है, वो type हम कैसे use कर सकते हैं, कब use कर सकते हैं, that all we need to know in detail. Very, very important topic. Then comes to your hypothesis and its types. So we need to know that what is the meaning of hypothesis, what are the characteristics or the features of hypothesis. Hypothesis means any assumption which we create. Okay, any prediction. आप अगर आपके language में बोले तो it is like a pre-assumption. It's a kind of assumption. It is a prediction of, ki what would be the results. Like suppose, let's say, for example, tuition and score. I believe that the student who goes to tuition the tuition has impact on score. कि अगर वो ट्यूशन जाता है तो उसका स्कोर बढ़ सकता है और जो ट्यूशन नहीं जाता है उसका स्कोर नहीं बढ़ता है. So this is my assumption. I may be, मेरा फर्स्ट केस भी हो सकता है कि ट्यूशन हैज इम्पैक्ट ऑन स्कोर एंड सेकेंड केस वुड बी tuition does not have impact on score. Matlab there can be students those who are not going tuition but still having a good score. So these are nothing but assumptions. My assumption may be true, my assumption may be false also. So I will have to prove my hypothesis. And the types of hypothesis, there are many types, but in exam if you see they will mainly ask you two types of hypothesis. One is, can anyone tell me what are the different types of hypothesis? The two types mainly, if you have studied your, I hope that all the postgraduate students are sitting over here. So the two types are H naught, that is your null hypothesis, and your HA, that is your alternative hypothesis. 100% they ask you the question on these two types of hypothesis. Of course, there are many other types also, but these are the two main important ones. Then there are variables. If I go into detail, we may not be able to complete the rest of the part, but we have to know that the variables, mainly the two types of variables, one is the independent variable, another one is the dependent variable. Now here I mean just give you the example. Like there is something called tuition, there is something called score. कि यहाँ पे increase or decrease क्या हो रहा है? The score is increasing and decreasing. So my score is a dependent variable on tuition, which is an independent variable. So something which changes is your DV. Okay. And another which brings the change is your independent variable. So your independent variable is your cause variable, and your dependent variable is known as your effect variable. So the tuition has effect on score. So score is dependent on tuition. So simply sometimes, they give you a statement, or they give you one hypothesis, and they ask you that in this hypothesis, which variable is what? कौन सा इसमें से tuition which what is tuition is independent or dependent? Very basic also sometimes they ask you. Then there are different data types. If you see that mainly students को अगर मैं data पूछती हूँ ना, very good. So I have got answers from Tanvi, Akila, null, alternative, very good. So you need to know. Then data types में हम पूछते हैं तो student always gives the answer primary and the secondary data. But let me tell you that are nothing but the sources of data. But here these are nothing but nominal, ordinal, interval, and the ratio scales. So we need to know in detail about these scales and the data types and its sources also. Then comes to your questionnaire and its types. There are different types of questionnaires, open-ended questions. What are the types of questions? What should be the requirement of a good questionnaire? So all that we need to know. Okay. Then there are research ethics. This is a theory topic again. Then sampling methods, 100% there will be a question from this topic. Probability and non-probability sampling methods. Probability means where all the respondents get the equal chance of being selected. But non-probability का मतलब होता है where there is no equal chance of getting selected. So there is a detailed understanding कि ये दोनों methods का meaning क्या है और इनके types होते हैं. There is a table prescribedly given, and we need to know what falls under probability, what falls under non-probability. Then sampling में भी ना there are various terms or the concepts which are related to sampling. सैम्पलिंग के मेथड्स पढ़ने से पहले हमको कुछ टर्म्स और कॉन्सेप्ट्स पता होने चाहिए, लाइक व्हाट इज सैंपल, देन व्हाट इज पॉपुलेशन, व्हाट इज एन, कैपिटल एन, स्मॉल एन, what is representing n and small n, and there are many others also. Okay, we need to know in detail. They do ask you census kya hota hai, survey kya hota hai, all that. Then you need to know what is research paper. आपने सुना तो होगा as a postgraduate student, research paper, article, seminar, conference, symposium, workshop, इनका difference क्या है? अगर हम किसी ब्रोशर में लिखते हैं वर्कशॉप तो उसकी मीनिंग क्या है? अगर हम सेमिनार लिखते हैं तो वो अलग होता है. हाउ सेमिनार एंड कॉन्फ्रेंस आर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ईच अदर. सो दिस ऑल वी नीड टू नो. थीसिस होता है, डेजर्टेशन होता है, हाउ दे आर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ईच अदर. Then there is a research report format that whenever any dissertation, any thesis, any project is done, that time the report is written. So there are different formats of writing a report. What is the structure? What is the layout of that research report? You need to know. Then there is something called bibliography. Like whenever I am conducting any research, I am referring to various books, various websites, okay, various research papers and all that. So that all references we write in the bibliography. Then there is something called appendices. Now this is not that appendices jo hamare appendix jo hota hai. See, appendices is a plural form when there are more than one, but there is something called appendix. So it is like any additional document which cannot be the part of our research report. It is put it in the appendices. That means any additional document. Suppose आप कोई research कर रहे हो तो आपको उसको किसी ने आपको फंडिंग दिया है, किसी ने स्पॉन्सरशिप दी है, आपने स्टूडेंट से, कॉलेज स्टूडेंट से डेटा कलेक्ट की है, सो यू वर गिवन द परमिशन लेटर बाय द प्रिंसिपल. सो ऑल दोस एडिशनल डॉक्यूमेंट्स you attach in the appendices part. Then there is impact factor. Again, this can't go into detail, but this is required. Impact factor we need to know, H index, G index, all that. Then plagiarism, softwares and online tools for data analysis and all. Again, into detail we need to know about this. Then reading comprehension. Now this reading comprehension is about your passage, which is an unseen passage. Now to solve the unseen passage, there are two ways. Some people, they read the passage, then go to questions. Okay. Some students, they read the question and find out the answer in the passage. Of course, हर एक question का answer passage में ही होता है. But some students, they start reading the passage first and then read the questions later. But I always prefer this way. I read the questions first and try to find out the answer. And each question at a time. मतलब one question at a time. ऐसे नहीं कि 5 question मैं पढ़ती हूँ फिर passage जाती हूँ. No. First question I will read and I will try to, find out the words which are given in the question and find out those similar words which are mentioned in the passage. So this is how I solve. If got a time, I can just help you with that also. But every approach is a right approach. I'm not saying कि यही best approach है. This is best for me, but this also can be best for you. So it depends कि how your mind works, क्योंकि every person's mind working is different. मेरा mind अलग तरीके से चल सकता है, आपका mind अलग तरीके से चल सकता है. So no method is the best method. Whatever works best with you, you have to follow that method. Then it also depends. Your passage solving depends upon how much you can read in a minute. That is words per minute. Mirror reading. Mirror reading मतलब हम newspaper कैसे पढ़ते हैं? है ना, mirror reading करते, we just quickly go through the newspaper. Upside down reading, like ऊपर पढ़ेंगे, नीचे पढ़ेंगे, नीचे पढ़ेंगे, ऊपर पढ़ेंगे, like that. Always remember that whenever you are appearing for any competitive exam or any MCQ based questions, always try to eliminate the choices that are too broad. मतलब ये तो मेरा आंसर कभी हो ही नहीं सकता है. And जो broad है, बहुत ज्यादा broad है, मतलब कभी भी मेरा आंसर नहीं होगा, उसको eliminate कर दो. जो बहुत ही ज्यादा नैरो है, मतलब वो मेरे टॉपिक से रिलेटेड है ही नहीं, सो दैट ऑल्सो विल बी एलिमिनेटेड. समथिंग विच इज स्ट्रेंज, समथिंग विच इज टू एक्सट्रीम, उनको क्या करना है, एलिमिनेट करना है. I'll help you to, 1 or 2 questions I will solve and I'll just explain how to eliminate and not select the question. मतलब एक बार मुझे पता चल गया ना कि जैसे होता है ना, एक सिंपल एग्जांपल कि अगर मुझे शादी में जाना है, इन अ वार्डरोब I have got 10 clothes, okay, I have got 10 sarees. So out of those 10 sarees, I want to wear only one. तो मेरे लिए easy क्या होता है कि पहले 10 में से मैं select कर लूंगी कि कौन सी तो मुझे पहननी नहीं है. Like these are the 5 sarees which I don't want to wear at all. So once that is sorted, then I will understand कि okay, इन 5 में से मुझे कौन सी पहननी है. I will keep on cancelling कि ये भी नहीं, ये भी नहीं, ये भी नहीं. The moment you do this, it becomes very easy कि हाँ मुझे कौन सी वाली पहन के जानी है. So the same way is with your MCQ questions also. Try to eliminate the answers rather than selecting the correct answer first. Okay. Now, always when you read the passage, you need to understand or focus on the opening paragraphs and the closing paragraphs. Then your speed, of course, should be the good speed to read the passage because आपके पास उतना time नहीं होता है एग्जाम में, right? Visually searching, मतलब मैंने आपको बताया ना कि एक क्वेश्चन मैंने पढ़ा, उस क्वेश्चन का एक मैंने वर्ड सिलेक्ट कर लूंगी और उस वर्ड को मैं पैराग्राफ में ढूंढने की कोशिश करती हूँ, तो मुझे पता है कि मेरा जो आंसर है उस पैराग्राफ के आजू बाजू में ही है, right? So that is visually searching the sentences. This is the method I use. I like this method because this works well with me. Other methods may also work with you, but this is the method I use personally. I try to find the clues given in the question and in the passage. Then scanning, that means reading the information quickly. Mind mapping, मतलब एक पूरी पैराग्राफ पढ़ लो और उसके पॉइंटर्स बनाओ, एक माइंड मैप बनाओ. माइंड मैप मतलब कि ये पूरे पैसेज में क्या क्या दिया गया है. ओके, देन माइंड मैपिंग इज अगेन अ टेक्निक ओनली, राइट? जैसे कि माइंड मैपिंग का सिंपल क्या है कि आपको अगर मैं एक कॉन्सेप्ट देती हूँ कि अगर मैं बोलती हूँ आपको टाइप्स ऑफ कार्स और पार्ट्स ऑफ कार, पार्ट्स ऑफ बॉडी, तो आपको पता है कि सेंटर में आपका कार आएगा और कार के कौन कौन से पार्ट्स होते हैं. सो व्हेन यू क्रिएट दैट इज नोन एज माइंड मैपिंग. ओके, सो समटाइम्स पीपल यूज दिस मेथड ऑल्सो. देन इंटेंसिव रीडिंग, मतलब जो भी आप पढ़ते हो ना उसका एक एम होना चाहिए. Your purpose of reading that passage in the exam should be to solve the answer or find the correct answer, not for pleasure. You have to avoid reading for pleasure क्योंकि आप वहां पे पर्पस के लिए पढ़ रहे हो. एक्सटेंसिव, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू डू एक्सटेंसिव रीडिंग. ओके, हर पैराग्राफ पढ़ने का भी आपको कोई रीजन नहीं होगा. समटाइम्स आंसर में बी ओनली इन द फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ एंड इन द लास्ट पैराग्राफ. बीच की पैराग्राफ शायद काम की हो ही नहीं सकती है. ओके, देन another quick tips I would just like to tell you that practice each a day. Prefer your PC or your laptop because जो आपका एग्जाम होगा वो बड़ी स्क्रीन पे होगा. रीडिंग फ्रॉम मोबाइल, रीडिंग फ्रॉम लैपटॉप, पीसी मेक्स अ डिफरेंस. बुक में से पढ़ना मेक्स अ डिफरेंस. Some people may read 10 pages in a book in maybe 10 minutes or maybe 20 minutes. But if the same person is given a task to read from the laptop or maybe from the phone or PC, उनके लिए शायद वो डिफिकल्ट होगा. So have a practice of reading from the laptop itself because our mind is always waits for us to prepare. कि हम अपनी माइंड को जैसे प्रिपेयर करेंगे वो वैसे ही चलता है, क्योंकि माइंड को आदत हो जाती है ना स्क्रीन को बार बार पढ़ने की, देखने की. तो हमारी ना आंखें जलेगी, ना हमको दर्द होगा, कुछ भी नहीं होगा. यू विल बी एबल टू ग्रास्प इट. You will be able to interpret the data or the meaning or the information which is given there. Okay. Yeah, moving further, we have got a subject called as unit number 4, which is communication. I won't go into detail, but again you have studied this in your BCom BA first year specifically. So we need to know the types of communication, what are the differences between those types, what is synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means something which is at the same time. जैसे कि अभी there are students, 54 people are sitting here and watching live. Okay, जो at the same time. So something which you see at the same time is synchronous, and another one is asynchronous. Asynchronous means once this session gets over, जो YouTube पे upload हो जाएगा, after that you watch, that becomes asynchronous. Asynchronous means not at the same time. It's simply known as like recorded version. Okay, so we need to know क्योंकि हम एग्जाम में भूल जाएंगे. So synchronous is same, asynchronous is something which is recorded sessions. Then what are the 7 C's? And there is another important one, 100% there is a question that what are the elements of communication. Whenever we communicate, there is always a sender, there is a receiver, there is always a message, there is always a medium to pass that message, there is always noise, there is always feedback. Okay, so these are elements and इनका एक proper flow होता है that we need to remember. Then what are the principles of effective communication, barriers and so on. Barriers maybe again they ask you question, semantic barriers, linguistic and then technical barriers, psychological barriers, physical barriers and so on. Now this topic, mathematical reasoning, I will not go into detail, but I'll tell you what type of questions do they ask. Like reasoning and its types, series completion, like they give you some series of number and they ask you series of number and letters or maybe a combination. Then there is coding, like if Gita is coded 1 2 3 4, how is Valia coded? So analogy, blood relations. Okay, then direction sense, this all you have seen or done in your school level also, but you need to practice. Without practice you cannot get the correct answer for these type of questions. It requires lot of practice, lot of. Then sitting arrangement questions, fractions, time and distance, then ratio, proportion, percentage. That means we need to have the basic idea. We have the basic idea, but we have to go into detail. Like in exam they will ask you questions on compound interest, may not be on the simple interest. Discounts, what are the not types of discount, but how to calculate discount. Then there are Venn diagram. In net exam they don't ask you the Venn diagram, but in set exam they do ask you the Venn diagram questions. Then this topic is completely a new topic, and it is something, to be honest, it is a topic which is difficult. Difficult means you have to put lot of efforts in understanding this, because you need to have a logic for these type of solving the questions. And isme na square of oppositions hai. Of course that is easy. It is easy only when you put an effort to learn under a right mentor, one who knows these topics very correctly. Then there is something called as fallacies, Indian logic, means of logic, knowledge. यहाँ पे ना बहुत सारे संस्कृत के टर्म्स हैं जिनकी हमको इंग्लिश में मीनिंग पता होनी चाहिए. So this topic these days they are asking questions in detail, and it is important and it is not easy to learn. मतलब आपको इसके लिए प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा. संस्कृत के वर्ड्स को प्रोनाउंस करना है प्रॉपरली, प्रोनाउंस के साथ साथ आपका ओरल एग्जाम नहीं है बट प्रोनाउंसिएशन क्या आना चाहिए, उसका मीनिंग इंटरप्रिटेशन इन इंग्लिश you should know. Okay, so this is very important topic and I have seen these this unit is focused more on these days. Okay, so आपको ये पूरा आना चाहिए. So then is your data interpretation. Data interpretation means, as I told you, they will give you the table, and not only table, it can be bar graph, it can be pie chart and all, but mostly they give you the table questions. It can be pie chart also, like they give you the pie chart, and with that information you have to solve 5 questions. Then there is ICT, which is, as I told you, it is all what you have studied in your school. Then what is meaning of ICT? Then what are the different types of computer, that is generation of computer, what are the types of hardware system, then what are the types of memory, software system, utility software, programming, etc. We don't need to know the programming, but we need to know कि okay, programming की ये language तो होती है. Okay, then there is something like, we know that computer do not understand the English language or any language. They only understand one language, which is binary language, that is zeros and ones. So we need to know that how to convert a binary number into a decimal number and a decimal number into binary number. So there is a shortcut to use, solve this type of question, and they do ask you in exam. Then there are memory units, like in our phone also we have memories. So memory is from the, you need to know the chronological order of this. So one is like bit, byte, kilobyte, megabyte, petabyte, terabyte. So as in when you go further, the size or the units or the memory increases. So there is again a shortcut method to remember these memory units, which we need to understand and remember for exam. They ask you that what is the hierarchy of these memory units, which is the memory which has got the highest units, and so on. Then there are different types of computer network, star topology and all that, right? Bus, star and all. Then basics of internet, what is IP address? So now there was a question they simply asked that suppose if I am using my laptop at my house, the IP address is so and I use my laptop and use my college ka Wi-Fi, so the IP address is going to be same or different. So simple questions also they ask. Not every question is difficult, not every question is simple. So we need to have the basic idea. Okay, so domain name kya hota hai, browsers kaun se hote hain, search engines. So they give you options like which of the following are search engines, which of the following are not the browsers. So we need to know what is the difference between browser, search engine, etc. Then email, we all draft the email, but what is the structure in which the email should be drafted? What are the different types of email accounts? Okay, then what are the elements in email, like CC kya hota hai, BCC kya hota hai, and so on. Then there are general abbreviations and the terminologies which are used in computer or which are used in ICT, that we need to remember, like GIF kya hota hai, MP3 kya hota hai, all that we need to know. Just I'm giving you the example, but the detailed study has to be there. Then people development and environment. This is again, you have not studied this millennium development goals, sustainable. Repeatedly I have seen the questions from this कि ये goals क्या होते हैं, ये कभी establish हुए थे, and till when these goals need to be achieved, what is the target, okay, and what are the goals. Like in millennium development goal we have got 8 goals, in sustainable we have got 17 goals. So we need to know, this time they have asked the goals ka sequence also. So environment and its components, what is food chain, food web, this all we have studied at school level, but we have to go into detail, different types of spheres and all, right? Then what are the different types of pollutants, like anything which creates pollution, that is known as a pollutant. Okay, so what are the types of pollutant, what are their sources, how do they affect the body system or the animal or the environment, and what are the diseases which are caused by these pollutants, what is acid rain, what is the chemical composition of the acid rain, and all that. Then noise pollution may again they will ask you how the sound is measured, what are the permissible levels of the sound, what is the impact of the noise pollution on the human body, and so on. Then what are the different types of waste, what are the ways in which these waste are disposed of, that also they will ask you. Then climate change, global warming, these are again the hot topics which you must be reading many times in newspapers. So we need to know what are the causes of these causes of these kind of pollution, or these kind of global warming or climate change. What are the effects? We need to know. What are the gases which cause the global warming, that is greenhouse gases? We need to know all that. Then what are the different types of resources? We know natural resources, energy resource, renewable, non-renewable, and how are they generated, what are their advantages, disadvantages. Now there can be a current affair question. One second. What are the one second. Sorry? No, I'm in my lecture. I'm in my lecture. So we have got renewable and non-renewable sources. Then installed capacity, that in India, suppose if we are having, let's say we are saying that we have got solar energy and all that. So what is the installed capacity, and what is the target of India or maybe other countries also, that how much they want to produce that particular solar energy, wind energy, and so on. Then you need to know, sometimes they ask you a current affair question, that what is the ranking in the terms of which country produces what in a larger quantity, what is the consumption, which country consumes largest or large amount of coal, petrol, diesel, or oil, petrol, like that. So that current affair you need to know. उसके लिए ये जरूरी नहीं है कि हमको न्यूज़पेपर लेके बैठ ही जाना है, but you should have an idea कि what is going on around India, around the world. Okay, whenever we appear for these competitive exams, it is must to have some idea, if not all, but related to your subject, you should have an idea. Then moving on further, we have natural hazards and disasters. Like we all know, there is something called as rainfall, flood, earthquake. Okay, so these are the terms. As a layman, we know कि earthquake में क्या होता है, flood में क्या होता है. But in terms of geography, proper concepts we should know, that उनकी meaning क्या होती है, उनका occurrence का reasons क्या है, and how do they impact badly on our environment and the human life. Then nowadays they are again asking in detail that what is the magnitude, that means what is the intensity of the earthquake, which is considered to be the major earthquake, minor earthquake, and so on. So there is a table which we need to know, and how that intensity is measured with the help of Richter scale. Then environmental, these are certain acts we need to know. What is India's national action plan on climate change, like how India is having a plan to bring the good changes in the climate and reduce the impact of global warming and all. Then there is National Green Tribunal, like how we have consumer courts, district courts, family courts, and all. In the same way that anything related to environment goes into the National Tribunal, it's like a court only. Then again, this is a important topic called as international agreements. Like here, surely they ask you what is the launch year of these agreements, because every year you see ki, prime minister, he or she has gone for this conference, this meeting, that meeting. So these are the agreements which are like the treaties which are being signed by different countries. So we need to know the kind of agreements they have, and what is the objective of each agreement, what is the aim of each agreement, place of the meeting, launch year, that all we need to know. In the syllabus they have given in detail what are the agreements you have to study in detail. If you open up the Google, there will be a lot of international agreements, but in our syllabus they have clearly mentioned that we have to study Montreal Protocol, Rio Summit, Convention on Biodiversity, Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, International Solar Alliance, and so on. Very important topic. 100% questions are being asked from this. Now moving on to the last topic is your unit number 10. That's your higher education system in India. Again, this is pure a cramming topic, because इसमें ना mostly आपका जो है, they are going to talk about the institutions, the various bodies or the authorities which are working in the education sector. So इसमें ना हम लोगों को ज़्यादा अपना दिमाग नहीं चलाना है. We have to remember, understand and remember it as it is. अगर मैं बोलती हूँ कि my birth year is so and so, So it is going to remain same. You don't have to use your brain for that. You just have to memorize. Okay, so this topic is more of memorization, right? So institution of higher learning education in ancient India, कि ancient India में education कैसे होती थी, pre and post independence में India का higher education कैसे evolve हुआ, what is the history of that, then what are the various initiatives which the government has taken so far from ages, कि क्या क्या commissions बनाई थी, क्या क्या policies बनाई हैं, क्या क्या reports बनाई हैं for the education field. Then what are the different types of education, that is oriental, conventional. This is again important to understand and remember as it is. Okay, then there are regulatory bodies. We need to know ki India mein our policy making is done by the central government, state government, and the CAB, that is Central Advisory Board of Education. Then regulatory bodies means the laws are being made by the central government and so on, but these bodies have to see whether these laws are being implemented properly or not. So we have got UGC, that is Universities Grants Commission, कि उनका establishment कब हुआ था, उनके functions क्या हैं. So this is pure cramming. You have to remember as it is. Even if you do not know, you have to study and remember. Then universities and its types. Then what are the other institutions related to higher education, AIU, IUCs? There are many. Then national importance institutes are IIM, IIT, and all that. Research councils in India, this is going like nowadays, it's mostly the questions are asked from this. What are the full form these councils? What these councils are meant for? ये कौन से subjects के लिए होते हैं, कौन से research studies के लिए होते हैं? You don't know. As a student, मुझे भी कभी MCOM में नहीं पता था क्योंकि हमारे syllabus में ये नहीं था. But for this competitive exam, you need to know for the exam. Then there is something called as IGNO. It is mainly for open and distance learning. So what is IGNO ka full form? Where are its headquarters? Then what was the year of establishment and all that we need to know. Then open universities kya hote hain, types of universities and all. Accreditation bodies, like if suppose you must have seen that the colleges go for accreditation, they call the NAC team. So the NAC team gives them the grade. Grade is given on the basis of certain parameters, certain criteria. So in this 2021 exam, I have seen that they have asked the criteria also. कि NAC के कौन से 7 criteria हैं, एक NIRF ranking है, उनके parameters क्या है. That means on what parameters the college is given the rank and all that. Okay. So apart from that, there is something called like skill development programs in India. Then what are the initiatives which the government has taken so far? So this is again pure ratta maru topic, but again important. They will ask you full forms, they will ask you objectives. Then in India, there are various rankings which are being given. We always say, no, this is the best college, best hospital, best school. Okay, so that way rankings are given to the institutions and the universities at India level and global level. So we may not remember the whole list of rankings, but at least 1, 2, 3 we need to remember. So the ranking agencies, the one is NIRF, that is National Institutional Ranking Framework. Abhi isme kya hota hai? Suppose if your exam is in 2022, right? So the ranking of NIRF might have released in 2022. तो अगर 2022 का नया ranking है, तो they will ask you 2022 का ranking. But if there is no new ranking for this year so far, तो आपको वो लोग 2021 का डेटा पूछेंगे. So for exam, I always ask my students to better be equipped with both. कि आपको ये दोनों का knowledge होना जरूरी है, because you never know, they can ask you this. So parameters के ऊपर भी अभी question पूछा गया था. I will show you that question also. Then there is another agency called THER, Times Higher Education. Then there is World University Ranking. Then Quacquarelli Simmons is also there at the world level. So this also we need to know. So that was all about your unit number. I mean, all about the 10 units in your exam. Now, moving on further, as you all know that today's webinar is conducted in association with Ascendance Academy. I am the mentor coordinator at Ascendance Academy, and we have got faculty members, those who are working with us. Now, moving further, we need to know that what are the few tips and tricks which I can give you. You might be knowing, you might be having better tips than me, But the few ones, as a mentor or as a trainer, I would just like to tell you that today's success is like online and offline. It's like you just can't say कि मेरे को offline पढ़ के ही success होगा. No, you have to study online. मतलब you have to be ready to study from mobile, study from a laptop, and study from books also. Go to offline classes, go to online. So it's a success which is combination. Then very important to prepare for any exam, because this preparation is not that one day exam. वो यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम की तरह नहीं, कल एग्जाम है और आज हम पढ़ रहे हैं रात को बैठ के. नो, it's not like that, because this preparation minimum, according to me, minimum 6 months preparation is required if you want to qualify in one attempt, first attempt. Okay, so you need to have good sleep, because good sleep has got a lot of benefits. And with the invent of mobile phone and the usage of mobile phone, okay, our sleep is getting disturbed, and more and more people are suffering from problem of not getting good sleep or having the disturbed sleep. Okay, so that is important. We need to know that good sleep is important for preparing any kind of exam in your life. Then we need to know that what are the strengths and the weaknesses you have. As I told you in the beginning only, that there is something called as theory subjects and there are something called as practical subjects. So when I started preparing, I knew that theory is my strength and practical is my weakness. That does not mean कि मैं practical करूंगी नहीं. इसका मतलब मैं ज्यादा दिमाग इस पे चलाऊंगी और कम दिमाग इस पे चलाऊंगी. इसका मतलब I will put more efforts on the area where I am interested and where I have my strength, and less effort, because it happens ना कि you put more and more efforts on practical subjects, still आपको answers नहीं आ रहे हैं, still you are not able to solve, so you will demotivated, you will be demotivated. So better to work on your strengths more rather than focusing on weaknesses. ऐसा नहीं weaknesses को overcome करना है, but अगर वो overcome नहीं हो रही है, let's say as a बचपन से ही मेरे को मैथ्स में इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, जो चीज बचपन से नहीं हुई तो अभी ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम 6 महीने 8 महीने 1 साल में कैसे होगा. सो आई हैव टू बी प्रैक्टिकल कि भाई मेरा फोटे नहीं है मैथ्स में, आई कैन नॉट बी द जैक, बट एटलीस्ट मैं बेसिक तो करके जाऊंगी कि 10 में से मेरे 2 तो करेक्ट हो जाए, अगर 10 के 10 नहीं तो, राइट. So work on your strengths and weaknesses. More important is you need to know the exam syllabus in detail, and you need to know what is the exam pattern. Exam pattern means the types of questions which are asked in the exam. So I always believe in solving 10 years papers for any competitive exam. अगर आपका यूनिवर्सिटी पेपर है तो 3 years कम से कम प्रीवियस पेपर्स आपको देखना चाहिए. एंड इफ इट इज अ कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम, you should always solve 10 years question papers, because from that you come to know what is the pattern of the questions which are being asked, what are the topics which are being asked in the paper repeatedly. Okay, the question may not be repeated as it is, but the topics will surely be repeated. Now this is again important. Now this rule is 80-20 rule, which can transform your life. It's a Pareto rule. We will not go into the statistical part of this, but here if you can see my screen, one is known as ineffective time use, other is called as effective time use. Effective time use, that means what we have to do is that if I want to become effective in my life, so 80% of time, I am not saying कि आप लोग time waste मत करो, rest मत करो, TV मत देखो, mobile मत देखो, Instagram मत देखो, देखो, but only 20% of your time you should be ineffective. But if you want to achieve something in your life, 80% of your time should be utilized for being effective. But nowadays if you see the students, not only 1 2, most of the students, they are following the opposite. 80% of the time they are utilizing in being ineffective, and 20% of the time they are using in effective activities. So that's the reason they are not able to cope up with the stress and cope up with the examination and so on. So we have to spend 80% of the time in our activities which can make us effective in our life. Okay, that means it should be result oriented. So that's from my side, I feel about important of 80 and 20 rule. Then more important is to practice and practice for this any kind of exam. Specifically I will talk about competitive exam. Okay, then we must be very organized, because we all know that clutter is the enemy of all clarity. That means if you have clutter, it will be the enemy of your clarity. That means clutter nahi hona chahiye. We should be very, very organized. Organized means we should be very clear कि मुझे रात को पढ़ना है, दिन को पढ़ना है, ऐसे नहीं जब मन आया तब पढ़ना है. Because you have playing with your mind. Our mind is very, very particular. हम चाहे particular ना हो पर हमारी mind बहुत particular है. Mind plays with us. हम mind के साथ नहीं play करते. आज मैं सुबह पढ़ती हूँ, कल मैं रात को पढ़ूंगी, तो मुझे रात को याद आएगा, सुबह नहीं आएगा. सो आई हैव टू क्रिएट अ हैबिट. I have to develop that habit. Whether you study in morning, keep it always in the morning. If you are studying at night, keep it always at night, because your mind functions accordingly. क्योंकि हमारे जो माइंड है ना, वो सिग्नल्स पे काम करती है. So उनको एक अलग से अपनी हैबिट हो जाती है. So that is there. And another important thing is your study table. Don't study on the bed at all. Bed is always only meant for sleeping and resting. The moment you sit on the bed, you feel sleepy. So never study on the bed. If you don't have the study table, it is okay. You can always sit down on the floor and just have a stool. That also becomes your study table. So you have to sit and study. Have your organized table. Prepare your own notes. चाहे कितना भी अच्छा books मिल जाए market में, prepare your own notes, study material, and what you write, you will remember always. So this is just a brief I am giving you. These are my handwritten notes for paper 1, which I have, and these are written by me only from various books which are available in the market. And these are only given to the students, those who join our academy. And otherwise also, if I feel if the student is, having interest, and if they approach me, I surely give them the study material in the PDF form, whichever I can, may not be the whole. Okay. So that's from my side. And one more important thing is that you always have to say no to your distractions. The main distraction of our lives, not only your, but our lives, main is the mobile phone, which has, literally destroyed or distracted us from being effective in life. So most important, if you use your mobile phone for the good thing, it is understandable. But if we simply are scrolling without, without any aim or objective, it is a distraction. So say no to the distraction, so you can say yes to your destiny. That is what I believe. And always believe in doing it right now. Your time is right now. Later, nobody has seen. Nobody. If you see, मैं कल सुबह से पढ़ूंगी तो आज की रात तो चली गई. So don't waste your time. Put it into action right now. And apart from the notes, I can just tell you that this is the book which is available in the market, which is given by Disha Publication. Okay. So there are other books also. You can simply go to Amazon. You will find mainly we have Disha Publication book, paper 1, written by Dr. Rashmi Singh. I have written my study material from this book, as well as there is another book which is authored by KVS Madan sir, and his book is of Pearson Publication. So mainly I have written the material from these two books. Apart from these books also, I have jotted down the material from other sources also. So that's all handwritten material. You can solve, you can get easily available. There are question papers available in these books and other websites also. This was all from my side. If you have any questions, you have any comments or concerns, you can raise. I will be happy to answer your queries. And as you know, this webinar is in association of Ascendance Academy, and we run live coaching classes for paper 1 and paper 2, commerce and management. And we believe in learning something new today and every day. We have got our study material, which is compiled by all the expert faculty members. And the main person behind this Ascendance Academy is our mentor, who is Mr. Sumit Vats. He is JRF in 4 subjects. So you can visit our website for more details. And these are Maharashtra set results for this 2021. And I congratulate all my students, those who have qualified their exam under the expert guidance at Ascendance Academy. This is our website. You can visit. And apart from that, for this academic year 2022, you can target your exam for qualifying NET and SET exam. Paper 1 and 2, we believe in giving online live coaching. Of course, the lectures are recorded also so that the students can attend later also if they are not available online. We give also hard copy of the study material and the previous year question papers from 2012 till date. And also there is a unit wise mock test of previous year's paper on our website. You can visit to our website www.ascendanceacademy.ac.in. You can follow us on our Facebook page Ascendance Academy for UGC Net. You can contact me. You can feel free to contact me for any kind of inquiry related to paper 1 and 2. This is my contact detail. You can make a note. You can contact to your teachers also for the same. And one more important thing I believe always is that we do not have to be smarter than the rest. कि मेरी friend का 90% आता है, मेरा 70 आता है. Or anyway, we have to be more disciplined than the rest. That is what the jack of competitive exams. क्योंकि आपका discipline आपकी life में होना जरूरी है. Discipline means in the form of your studies, in the preparation, you need to be disciplined. That is what Warren Buffett also says. And I do believe that discipline, your dedication, your determination, you need to be very, very firm in preparing for any exam. And apart from this, I would like to tell you that Ascendance Academy is associated with Valia College since 2 years almost. And we have conducted various crash courses and for paper 1 and paper 2, not only Valia College, but other colleges also. But with Valia College, we have got great success, and students, those who have joined the crash courses, they have qualified as well. I'm not saying all the students, but yes, those who follow us, those who follow discipline, those who prepare for the exam, they do qualify. Now, if anyone would like to ask that what is this crash course about? Now, this crash course is conducted for paper 1, if I say minimum 10 days, or it can be extended to 12 or 13 days also. Like every day we teach for 4 hours each unit. And there is some charge which is charged for that particular crash course. And as and when if more and more students would be interested in joining that, we can surely conduct in association with Valia College. And that's all from my side. If you have any queries, any questions, feel free to raise it. I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, ma'am. By the time the students are coming up with queries, I would like to invite our principal, Dr. Shobha Menon, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. If you could please address our students.
Supriya, yes, crash course will be online only. Tanvi, please keep a seminar on paper 2. Surely, if more and more students are interested for paper 2 commerce and management, college authorities will surely take care of that. Can you repeat the names of the book? Okay. I'm just taking the questions. Yeah.
Manjari ma'am. Manjari ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shobha ma'am is on mute. Please unmute her.
Yes, ma'am. I have given the.
Geeta ma'am, you can continue, sir.
Yeah. No, fine. There was a question. So this is the book which you can note down. You can take a picture also. This is a Disha publication. The moment you go to Amazon for paper 1 UGC Net, you will get a list. But these are the books which I prefer.
Geeta, if you're done with answering the questions,
Yes,
if I may address the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. A very good evening to all of you who have joined for this session. I'm given to understand there are students from Valia College as well as students from other colleges who are here with us this evening. First and foremost, a very big thank you to Geeta for, I will address you by your first name. Okay, because we are very close and we are very closely associated for the last 2 years. So thank you, Geeta, for consenting to do this session with us. And for my wonderful students, let me tell you, as a principal, I have come across students who finish their MCom, try other jobs for 2-3 years, and then one fine day they will come back and then tell you, ma'am, I want to become a lecturer. Mujhe kya karna hai? Remember one thing, one of the singular rules of NET, SET, JRF, all these exams is the sooner you do it after you finish your post-graduation, the higher your chances of cracking the exam. Geeta, am I right? Yeah. So, the faster you do it, the sooner. And the simple reason for this is because the questions are very, very, they spread across a wide variety of topics in your syllabus. Now, when you are a student, you are in touch with all those topics, something somewhere you have studied. The further you go away from your PG days, what happens is, it is natural you will forget some things. You will drop some things, drop out, even if you are in teaching. Let me tell you, many of you, what may happen is, you finish your MCom, you manage to get into some junior college or some degree college, some visiting post, etc., somewhere, and you start working. Then after some time you realize, I want to do NET SET. Now what has happened, when you're teaching there, you are teaching one paper, two papers, then you know only that part. So say if you are teaching HRM, you know only HRM. If you are teaching export marketing, you know only export marketing and nothing else. Whereas the questions in this paper are not like that. They are very general and they are very basic. The second thing is, another simple thing is, why does it become difficult to pass after a point? Remember, as time goes by, we lose study skills. We lose the ability to memorize things. And to even the act of sitting and concentrating and studying, we lose that ability as time passes by. One, because of age. Second, because of not practicing it, because we don't need to practice those skills. And that is the reason why we find that students, and I can tell you with 100% guarantee from my own experience, because I'm a person who cleared NET. You will all collapse to hear the year. It was 1991 when I cleared my NET. In the first attempt, I cleared it. Because at that time, I was doing my MPhil. I was just fresh out of MA. And it was very easy to do it for me at that stage. Whereas today, if I were to appear for that examination, I can write and give you that I will fail. Because I have lost touch with so many things which I knew back then when I was a fresh PG. So students, don't lose this opportunity. Remember, no qualification, no degree ever goes waste. Take that degree and keep it with you. And when you do your NET SET exam, what happens is, then you don't have to appear for your pet if you want to do PhD. So this becomes one more add-on thing that you can do, and then you can possibly go on to do PhD, because in time to come, you will find PhD is going to become mandatory. Slowly, 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 we are moving towards that. So therefore, it's better to do it right now. And the world has become so competitive that it is very difficult to clear it now unless and until you have focused guidance, which a place like Ascendance Academy gives you. Very proper, and my experiences with Geeta and her team have been, they are very committed and they do it very properly. And as your principal, let me tell you, I will not vouch or stand for anything unless I really trust that they are able to deliver. And I have seen the results in the last 2 years. So if you need to take up the coaching, please do it through them so that you can excel. What is the point of wasting 2 years, 3 years, 4 years trying on your own and then trying to come back and do it? You've just lost time. Instead, do it in a focused manner. And I have personally seen how Geeta follows up, because whenever we work together on the programs, I am also there in the WhatsApp group of the students. And students one day before the exam also putting up, ma'am, please share these notes. Promptly Geeta will be putting up some notes, or some other faculty will be putting up some notes. Very difficult to get that kind of attention today in a very commercialized educational world, where people only take money and don't deliver. Ascendance Academy is not like that. On that matter, I can definitely vouch, because we have worked with them for 2 years. And make use of the opportunity. Complete your qualifications. It always helps when your qualifications are in place. When you go for a job, you are in a commanding position. You can say, yes, I am NetSet qualified. I am not going to come at a salary lower than this. This you can say when you are qualified. Otherwise, you have to go and say, ठीक है, जितना भी आप दे रहे हो, I will take it. So if you don't want that to happen to you, see that you get your qualifications in place, students. With these words, I will hand over to Geeta. If there are any more questions, she can continue. Thank you so much, Geeta, once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your kind words. As really rightly said by madam, that you have to begin right. I mean, prepare yourself right now. Don't wait for that. And there are questions students are asking, that the crash course, when it will be held. Since you are filling the feedback form, as and when more and more students would be interested, especially from the Valia College, because this webinar is especially, madam has conducted this for our students and even outsiders also. So the crash course details can be given soon. And if you are interested, you can concern to your particular teachers, those who are in your department, and you can fill the feedback form. There also we have given the details. Crash course is practice based. Of course, practice based means here we are going to give you the teaching, mainly the teaching of this units will be done, and the questions surely after each unit, questions will be discussed, because we cannot solve 10 years question papers, but surely at least 20 to 25 questions in each session would be discussed, so that you get an idea. Any other questions are there? We can take further. I request all the students to fill the feedback form, so that we can further discuss on the crash course. And if there are many students, those who are interested for paper 2, we can conduct such webinar to give the brief description on paper 2 syllabus. And if there is a time, I can show you the question paper also. It is there with me. If any of you are interested, I can show you the question paper also. Okay. Yeah, Aarti ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, all. On behalf of Valia College of Arts and Commerce, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar on how to prepare for NetSet JRF exams organized by our college in association with Ascendance Academy. At the outset, I thank our chief guest and resource person, Ms. Geeta Bhatia. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, ma'am. The information shared by you will definitely help all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are thankful to our college management for their motivation. Wholeheartedly, I must thank our principal, Dr. Shobha ma'am, for her support and guidance for organizing such an event. Thank you, ma'am, for assisting and encouraging all of us. A special thanks to Professor Manjiri Rajadhyaksha, my colleague, for her constant enthusiastic support and coordination. Our heartfelt thanks to all the students for active participation. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's webinar. Thank you all. Thank you, Geeta ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Valia College, and thank you, Dr. Shobha Menon, Principal of Valia College, for always trusting me and Ascendance Academy. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Aarti.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, students, for attending the session. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. Ma'am, I'll end the meeting. Aarti, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you, Manjari ma'am. Bye.
Oh, okay.